Hello, everybody. I'm Ricky Smith, and this is Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, we're all about highlighting inspiring people, engaging topics, and small businesses. And while you're here, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. We don't want you to miss a thing. All right, y'all. So, have you thought about retirement? I know it's one of those topics that you hear people talk about, but not a lot of people tell you what to think about before. Oh, sure, we want to make sure we have all our money set. We want to make sure we get out of as much debt as we possibly can. And for some of us, we want to make sure that our Maui vacation plans are already set. But what about if you're not thinking about it yet or don't know what to think? Well, today I'm here to help you. We're going to talk to somebody about what retirement is, what it isn't, and what we should probably be thinking about before. Everybody, please say hello to Rosemary Carminati. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, Ricky. How are you today?
I am so great. Rosemary, thank you so much for joining me today because this is an important topic.
Well, as you said in the beginning, most people are spending their time on their finances, their insurance, where they're going to live, possibly their leisure time. They think it's going to be
Yeah.
just as you probably hear people closer to retirement. I hear this quite often. They say, I can't wait until I'll be happy when I retire. I
Yes.
retire. And they're waiting for this. I like to say it as almost a neon sign, retirement flashing. It's going to be Shangri-La. Well, what they
That's right.
haven't thought of though are
Hmm.
those psychological potential negative side effects that happen
Whoa.
when we retire.
That right there is so huge. Rosemary, before we go deeper into this, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, and what it is you do.
Well, I'm Rosemary Carminati, and thank you very much for saying my name so wonderfully. I live in Connecticut. I've lived in various parts around the world, but what brought me to what I do is after 30 years in corporate sales of go, 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 success is produced by hard work and learn more and just high achievement. I was burned out and stressed, and then I had some
Mm,
family issues that really could have torn my family apart, my marriage apart. And
mhm.
instead, what I did was about 8 years ago, I got into some really deep self discovery and personal development and
Wow.
trained and took courses. And through the process, I also became a trainer. And my mentor is a gentleman who I'm pleased to say I became certified as a trainer for him with him
Mhm.
about 2.5 years ago, and I was in one of his founding classes. And the
Wow.
importance that we talk about is discovering ourselves and our identity. Deep dive, not
Mhm.
just surface. I like to say
Right.
we're actually digesting and then
Hmm.
reinventing what makes
Wow.
us tick.
Yeah, I like that. Digesting and reinventing. Because when you said reinventing, I thought you were going to say regurgitate, but whatever.
No.
So, so
And
now,
I was going to say also dissecting.
and
Dissecting.
dissecting. Yeah, because there's so many facets of us. Our work life is one of them, but retirement is another one. So going back to the retirement piece, you said the psychological part of retirement, because I'm one of those folks. In my mind, when I retire, I will be living someplace amazing, doing lots and lots of travel. Oh, it's going to be so nice. Of course, for me, retirement's going to be when I'm 110, but that's neither here nor there. What kind of things, Rosemary, would you say that people are not thinking about that should be about retirement right now?
Well, to put it in a very brief nutshell, is to
Mhm.
say, I tell my clients, what are the things you love about your job right now? Now
Mhm.
imagine you love the challenge, the certainty or the uncertainty, or the social environment. All of those things become part of why we do what we do. But in our
Mhm.
culture, especially in the United States, most people that I've come across, and it tends to be more men than women, have
Yeah.
really put their identity essentially in what they do for a living.
That's so
You
true.
know,
I think a lot of us do that. Yeah, because again, like you said, society says sometimes what you do is who you are. And the more you do, the more you are
hmm
type deal.
well,
But like you said, what do you do when you're not doing that? Are you a non-person after that or what?
I like to start with the basics. And the basics are, let's look at what makes us tick. There are six basic psychological needs that we all have. There's
Okay.
certainty,
Mhm.
uncertainty, significance, love, growth, and contribution. Now, for some of us, I don't have a need for certainty. I actually like
Mhm.
a little bit more uncertainty. But
Oh,
if you're
wow.
a person that is really driven by the need for certainty, first of all,
Mhm.
whether you're retiring or not, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure because
Wow.
in our daily life, what can we be
Mhm.
certain of?
Sure.
So in these situations, let's say that
Mhm.
your need is significance. A person
Mhm.
that might need significance in their job would be someone that has to have the title, loves the authority, loves the respect, and knows that when people ask him a question, they're
Yeah.
listening to his answers. And what
Sure.
happens to that person if that significance was so important to them when they
Right.
retire? I like to say it's the same as now I'm standing in the grocery store and one
Mhm.
person on either side of me, they're no different than I am. I've gone from being top of the hill, the king of the hill,
Mhm. Mhm.
to absolutely blending in
Yeah.
with the rest of the world.
You
And
know,
that can
that
be
is so
devastating.
funny. It is. Where we live in a very large military community.
Mm,
So we have lots of retirees here. And we talk about this a lot. If you've been in the military or in any other job, but speaking the military specifically, you've been in the military 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And depending on your rank, your job, your title, when you walk into a room, people stand up, they salute, they move, move out of the way so you can sit at the head of the table. But when you retire, no one cares that you walked in a room. No one cares who you are. Your opinion, like you said, is the same as mine. I may or may not care. And that can be really hard for people who've done this for 30 years.
yes. Now think about it.
Wow.
That is in the case of upper ranking. I was a
Hmm.
military wife for a while. And
Yeah.
in the upper ranks, you're used to having the authority. But imagine in the lower ranks, you're used to becoming a part of one. So
That's
your
so good.
identity is
Mhm.
so different than the outside world. And I mean
True.
it's essential in the military for
Mhm.
safety and for
Yeah,
protecting your brothers and sisters. But when
sure.
you get out, your identity is not part of the one anymore, the whole.
Yeah.
Now you have to
Mhm.
figure out, who am I
True.
individually?
That is so good.
Retirement
But
in the military
mhm,
is very difficult. That is a
it can
challenge
be.
for a lot. And also the certainty of knowing the schedule. This is exactly what is
Yeah,
expected of me at all times.
exactly. You said something in that, who am I after this? It reminded me of marriages and divorces.
Mhm,
If you've been married 20, 30 years, and for whatever reason, whether you're divorced or you're separated or you've become a widow, you lost your spouse, is
mhm.
it that same sense of who am I now type episode as well?
Oh, definitely. And you can come up with other scenarios too. The folks
Mhm.
that have put all of their identity into raising their children,
Yeah,
the empty
that.
nest syndrome.
Mhm.
There's, it so happens that my niche and what I specialize in is retirement because, well, my age and who I'm surrounded by. And I can't tell you how many times I speak on the subject and
Mhm.
people will say to me after I'm done, that was my cousin. That is my husband.
Yeah.
That was, you know, we all have someone we know in our lives that
Mhm.
thought retirement was just going to be so great. And what happens is if we don't address what's going to fulfill us, we
Mhm.
age rapidly. There,
Wow.
there's research that shows living with purpose in retirement adds
Mhm.
7+ years to your longevity.
Oh my goodness. It's, I'm struck by that because you're doing this thing all your life, whatever it is, at your job. Then you leave not having a purpose or reason, nowhere to go, nothing to do, nobody to care. And so do having that adds up to 7 plus years to your life. So,
Yes.
Rosemary, how do we get there? How do we find that purpose after, like you said, starting to think about it now? What should we be thinking?
Well, what I do with my clients, and I would suggest you can do it without a coach, but if you do
Mhm.
have a coach, the one thing I do that I absolutely love to do is what I said in the beginning. We look at those six basic psychological needs and put them in priorities. What are the most
Yeah.
important things to you? For me, it's
Mhm.
love. And I find most people, whether they want to admit it or not, even if they're that, Ebenezer Scrooge, we all need unconditional love.
Sure.
We might be searching for it in different ways, but that is definitely a big psychological need
Mhm.
for most people. For myself, it's growth and contribution. I will
Mm.
always be learning until I take my last breath, and I
Right.
will always be contributing to the greater good. But for
Mhm.
someone else, it might be. Like I said, if it's certainty, that's something they need to address whether they're retiring or not, because those are the
Yeah.
people that are the most stressed in life. And
Mhm.
stress is just reality not meeting your expectations. So if you're searching for certainty, what's going to happen almost always?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Uncertainty.
Right. Right.
Rosemary, in your doing this, do you find that there is a different in age group? Because nowadays, folks are retiring in their 40s. And then you have those who are going to retire like me at 110. Is there a difference in those priorities per
I
the
would
age
say
group?
the younger folks are still a little bit less cynical, let's put it that way. They
Mm,
have a lot more high hopes. The older
okay.
folks that I deal with, I have to mm, I like to say I distribute hope, and I ignite some of the
Hmm.
potential in people. I find younger folks still have a lot of that. They haven't been
Yeah.
beaten down by life's
So true.
circumstances.
Right. There's
Uh,
still the possibilities
yeah,
of
the
possibilities.
glossy-eyed, look of, oh yes,
The
it's
wonderment
out
of it
there.
all.
Yes.
Yeah, I can still reach that. That's so funny. So how do you help your clients find this? With these 7 things that you're talking about, how do you help them with that and determine what it is for them? Do you kinda, like, take them back to a time when were you the happiest? When
Well,
did you have the most fun? Do you do that?
we do all different types of exercises. That's something that's surface. We get really deep
Oh,
down
wow.
into limiting beliefs. What are the
Mm,
things that they're one of the big ones is values. I'm a firm believer that if you're not living in congruence with your values, you're not living
mhm.
authentically.
Wow.
And if you're not living authentically, you're truly not fulfilled and at peace. So we
That
look
is
at
so good.
values.
Mhm.
Besides what you think your driving forces are, let's look at those values. So often people have values that they've had since they were a child, and maybe they should have, they're not following them. They don't even believe in them
Right.
anymore, or things
Mhm.
that were imposed on them by their
Mhm.
parents, by society, by the people they surround themselves with. So
Sure.
re-examining that. I had a client, it was so funny. We did our value assessment, and her
Mhm.
top four values, one of them included fun. And she
Mm.
started to cry. And
Aw.
in talking to her, she said, "This is an important thing that I want in my life, and I can't remember the last time I experienced fun."
That's painful to hear. But again,
Mhm.
like you said earlier, life beats you up after a while and a certain age and all the things, and you do stop having fun. One of the things I do as a coach with public speaking, we do kind of the same thing. Tell me what your relationship is with public speaking. When's the first time you did it? What were you told about it? And inevitably, crying is involved because, again, going deep, when you start talking
Mhm.
about where you started, when did this fear happen? You start finding out some things about yourself that you either don't like, don't remember, or didn't know was still there,
Yeah,
you know?
and those limiting beliefs that were imposed on you, because
Yeah,
when we go through all this process of dissecting our beliefs, and
yeah,
our psychological needs, and then we look at our values, then we also start reinventing our identity. Who do we want to be?
yeah. And that right there to me is huge. You know, when you have to reinvent yourself, because for however many years you've worked, you knew exactly who you were.
Mhm,
You were the chief executive, you were the CEO, you
mhm.
were the CFO, you were the manager, you were the director. And then after that, who am I now?
Yeah.
What value do I bring now? What contribution will I have now? Because it is a complete different evaluation schedule, if you will. Because now nobody's looking for me.
No, and when you're doing all of that evaluation, you're also, if you're a certain age, you're starting to think about legacy. What am I
Mhm.
leaving? And for most people, think when they think of legacy, they think of what am I leaving in my will? You
Right.
know,
The
are they
money.
going to put my name on a plaque on a park bench? Those kind of things.
Right.
But to me, it's living your legacy. How are you touching the people around you? How are you making a difference when you're gone? What
Mhm.
have you left in that space that you took? You know?
Rosemary, that is such a huge question. And now that I'm thinking about it, money is easy.
Hmm.
If somebody says, you know, how much you're going to leave your kids, you can give them a dollar amount and split it up between, you know, however. But when you talk about when you leave, what was your impact? What will you have left behind? That is a deep conversation.
Hmm. Well, they say when
Hmm.
two of the things that people research, I love that cliche research says somewhere in my notes, I have exactly where I've read this, but
Right.
the two biggest regrets that people have when they
Hmm.
die, before they die,
Right.
is that they did not enjoy the happiness in their lives and they
Mm.
didn't live authentically.
Oh, but authentic is scary, Rosemary,
It
because if
is.
people see the real me, what if they don't like me? What if I get fired? What if I don't have any friends? What if nobody wants to play?
Hmm.
You know, authenticity is that's tough.
Yeah, but it brings you true freedom. Oh,
Yeah.
and that's what we work on too. The notion of, well, when you say, what will people think of me? The
Hmm.
if you ever knew how little people think of you, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's seriously true. Most of us are so busy preparing and thinking about what are they thinking of me that they're not thinking of you. They're thinking of, gee, do I have something in my teeth? You know, and when we get rid of all that, it is so freeing.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
we don't have a lot of control over things in our lives. We do control what we put out
Hmm.
with our words and our actions or what we put
Right.
into our mouths, But
Yeah.
to me, when you stop living in that fear of someone's going to see my true self. Well, get to know your true self, get to love your true self.
Yeah.
Self
That.
love is
Hmm.
there's an epidemic of people that don't truly love themselves.
Golly, Rosemary, that right there was the price of admission, my friend. Wow. Because, you know, for those of us who are former people pleasers, we didn't
Mm,
love ourselves enough to give ourselves a chance.
mm-hmm,
We depended on what other people thought of us to dictate how we felt, what we did, where we went,
mm-hmm,
the whole thing. And we usually hated it a lot.
mm-hmm.
And then I don't know about you, but at a certain age for me, I got to the point where, oh, sweetie, you should have got me 2 years ago because now,
It doesn't serve you. And
yeah,
it's exhausting, and you're not fulfilling your true potential
oh,
when you're
your
doing
true
all of
potential.
those things. We're all here born with amazing gifts that
Hmm.
we should be sharing with the world. And
Yeah,
that's another thing I help people do. Part of my identity statement. Let me read it to you because when I
please
say
do.
identity, remember that
Mhm.
your identity can change and you can take it off like a coat. You know,
Mm.
don't ever let anybody tell you that you're a mom, you're a wife, and or you're your name. You are who you are. And my
Wow.
identity statement currently, I absolutely love. I am an inspiring and vibrant mentor and distributor of hope who, by empowering others, helps them reinvent themselves and ignite their potential. Now, I
Oh my
live by
gosh.
those words every day. When I stop and I
Yeah.
have to make a decision, I say to
Mhm.
myself, how is this? living by why I want to, this is my true identity.
Man, Rosemary, there's so much goodness in everything that you have said, and I really want to keep going, but we can't. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you or continue this amazing conversation, where's the best place for them to reach you, Rosemary?
The best place is on LinkedIn, and you can find me under my name. There we can connect, have a deeper conversation. And I also have a wonderful assessment that I have that's free of charge. And it's all about looking at your peer group and assessing who you want to seek out and who you want
Yeah.
to weed out.
Woo! Seek out
Mm.
or weed out. I love it. Everybody, don't worry. If you didn't get that information, it's all going to be in the description below. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and like our Facebook page. We want you to know everything. Rosemary, my friend, before I let you go, we got to play a game.
I
So
love games.
this and you're gonna be so good at this. So this game is called This or That. I'm gonna give you the choice of a couple of things, and you just tell me which one you like the best. Are you ready to play, my dear?
Sure am.
All right, let's do this. All right, Android or iPhone?
Android.
Ooh, yellow light. Speed up or slow down?
Oh, slow down.
I'm so proud of you, Rosemary, truly. Most of my guests are like, kind of speed up. All right, large crowds or small groups?
Both.
Nice. Okay. Slow dance or shake that thing?
Ooh, both, depending on your partner.
There you go.
I love
Now,
them both.
I know this about you, Rosemary. You've been in bands a lot of your life.
Yes, yes. So I love to shake my thing. And again, when I say share your gift, I tell people everyone is a singer. Maybe you don't want to share it loudly with other people, but in your own house, you share, I mean, you sing, you dance and enjoy life. Don't let anybody tell you, don't sing, don't dance.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Sing loud. What's that
hmm
term? Sing like nobody's listening and dance like nobody's watching, right?
watching.
I love it.
Exactly.
And finally, Rosemary, what is the best advice you've ever given?
Ooh, you can never run out of now.